In this video, we're going to walk through the front end of the gallery experience that your client's going to get. In the last video, we walked through uploading a gallery and setting up a gallery and choosing a watermark and configuring all of that. And now we're going to get to see what that looks like from your client's perspective. And we're going to kind of flip-flop back and forth a little bit and change a few of the settings just so that you can get a full perspective and a full view on when you change something in the back end, what it does on the front end for your client. So I have that gallery that we configured together right here, the Heath and Olive engagement gallery. And we've already published this. We've already made it live. If you want to email it again to your client, you can click the email button. If you want to view it, you can press this view button. But otherwise, let's open this up right over here. So this is the cover photo right here. This is the image itself that we chose here. If I go back into the back end, you'll remember that we set this image here. If I scroll down, it's right there. And you can see that the most important part, that focal point that we had specified right here, is not going to get cropped in the image. So there it is right there. And what you're seeing here, this particular cover is the one that we chose. It was called Split, if you remember. If I go back into the back end over here and then click into Settings and then into Advanced, you can see here there's Split. There's a whole bunch of different ones that are all built in here by default for Sprout, or you can use the cover designer to build your own. But I'm going to go ahead and open the gallery here, and this is the first thing that we're presented with. You have a really beautiful presentation with all of the images individually here. And if I open this up, it opens it up, and you can see that the watermark is added down here to the single images by default. It's not added to the thumbnails. If you remember, we had that option to turn it on or to turn it off for thumbnails. We chose to keep it off for thumbnails. If you had kept it on for thumbnails, then all of the thumbnails themselves would have that watermark attached to them, but we have that turned off here, so you're not going to see them. So the quick run through on the gallery itself is pretty straightforward. We have slideshow up here in the top right corner. We have favorites for your client to retrieve their favorites or to create an account to have favorites too. Or they can click up here to sign into their account if they'd like to get access to everything else. Otherwise, what I want to run through is the different thumbnail styles. So if you remember in the back end over here, we chose waterfall. And you can tell, I mean, it's hard to tell at the top here because they're all vertical images. But if I go down over here, we have some that turn into horizontal images. And so you end up getting this sort of waterfall effect. You've got columns of images here, and that's the waterfall effect. If I go into the back over here and choose masonry instead, and then save that, and then come on back over here and give this a refresh. Now let's take a look at the effect that that has. Go into here. Again, the top, these are all going to look the same because they're all vertical, so they're all going to look similar. But if I go down here where we had those horizontal images, now you can see that they're all stacked this way. So instead of having these columns of images, you have these rows of images. So that is what the masonry effect does. If I go into here under settings and go into advanced, instead of masonry, I can choose grid, which will force everything to have the same perspective and the same orientation. It'll make them all square. If I refresh here, we can now see what that will look like here. And there we go. So that's kind of like a bit more of a simpler layout. Everything is the same. They're all square and they're all going to be cropped right in the middle. So it has this like really nice uniform effect to it. So there's those few different options there. Let's go back on over here and just configure a few more settings that we can kind of play around with here. One option would be the require email. So if you wanted to prompt your client to put in their email address, you can click require email and press update. And if we go back over here and refresh, you're going to see this email box right here. So your client would have to put in their email address in order to continue. And when I do, I'm going to go ahead and press open gallery. I'm going to go back into the back end here. I'm going to open up settings and then open up settings here. You can see that there's been one email that's been added. If I open that up, I can see that email right there. I can see who it was. I can export that as a CSV. I can send an email to all of the registered guests, or I can remove them, or again, I can manually enter new collected emails up there. I'm going to turn that back off. Go down here into advanced. This is again where you can configure. I'm going to put back into waterfall because I like that look. I can turn slideshow off. I can go into a dark theme if I'd like. Again, I've got that watermark chosen, social, file names. I'm going to keep all that the same. The only other thing that I want to configure here is downloads. So I can turn this on for everyone. Now, I don't have any download presets created. So really quickly, let's hop in and create that while we're here. I'm going to go into settings. I'm going to go into galleries, and I'm going to go into download presets. Now, a download preset is very similar to a watermark, basically in that you can specify the size of the downloaded file, as well as whether or not it has a watermark added to it. So I'm just going to call this high resolution, and I'm going to choose high resolution here, which is 5,000 pixels wide. Of course, you can choose large, medium, small, or original resolution. And if you wanted to, you could add a watermark. For this one, I'm going to leave no watermark on, or I'm going to turn the watermark off. So I'm going to go ahead and click save. And then we're going to go back into the gallery here. Really quickly, if you want to get into that settings modal without going into the gallery, you can click the little action button there and then click settings here, and it opens it up. So I'm now going to go into here, and I'm going to choose high resolution right there for that. And that's for anyone that goes to the gallery, both for all the photos or for each photo individually. So I'm going to click update and then go back into the gallery here, and I'm going to refresh. And now let's go on into the gallery here. So now you can see the slideshow button has been removed because I turned slideshows off. I now have this download button here. If I click this, all I have to do is put in my email address, and it will email me a download of all of the images as a zip file. Or I can click into an individual file and click the download button here, and it will download just that file onto my computer with that download preset specified. And so that's how you can now go on in and view a gallery and enjoy the gallery from your client's perspective in Sprout.